Is this your first time playing?
Nah, I've played this game plenty.
Shall we explain copy?
I appreciate the concern, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say no.
Alright, here's how you copy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Kirby Marathon. Today we do something pretty cool. Today we finally jump to the Super Nintendo. Finally! After years of waiting, we are finally jumping to the 16-bit console. And I mean, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but the Super Nintendo, it's kind of considered to be one of the greatest consoles of all time. Took franchises like Mario, Zelda, and Metroid and just made them explode into 16-bit pure bliss. And Kirby was already a successful series with 3 great games at this point, but it was finally time for the ping puffball to make the same 16-bit jump. So in 1996, Nintendo released Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo. But the big question here is, does this game do what Super Metroid and Link to the Past do for their franchises? I mean, if you look all around the map, you'll see that Kirby Superstar is widely considered to be the best game in the series, bar none. Full stop, easily the best. And I don't know guys, I really don't see it, but I'm getting ahead of myself now. That's what the review is for. Let's go right ahead and dive into it. Finally get to dust this bad boy off.
So right off the bat, the biggest thing Kirby Superstar has going for it is that instead of being one grand adventure, there are instead 9 smaller games that range from simple minigames to more complex platforming adventures. There's Spring Breeze, a truncated remake of Kirby's Dream Land with Kabula missing for some reason. There's Dynablade, an adventure to stop this big old colorful rainbow bird of doom Dynablade from destroying Dreamland's crops. The Great Cave Offensive, a huge scavenger hunt for 60 different items, and really nothing too offensive about it, so the name is incredibly confusing. I was expecting to, actually be offended, but okay, false advertising, I'll take it, whatever. There's Revenge of Meta Knight, which is a fast-paced adventure to get to the flying ship the Halberd and stop Meta Knight, who... And I really don't know, I have to guess he just had a bad day or something because he decided to try taking over Dreamland. The last platformer of the bunch is Milky Way Wishes, a mission to go wake up this force known as Nova to stop the Sun and Moon from fighting. Takes place in the year... I don't know, and I mean really, to be fair, you did take them down twice beforehand, so they're getting a little bit antsy about it, and I mean, you can't really blame them! Look at the Mega Force that took them down. You're told about this whole situation by this creature known as Marx, only for him to completely screw you over in the end when you free Nova, because he wishes for total power instead. I mean, hey man, it's not very nice. After those 5, there are then 4 little sub-games too. There's Gourmet Race, where you race and gather food against King Dedede in 3 different stages. Megaton Punch and Samurai Kirby, simple little single-button minigames that are a nice distraction and not really much else. And then finally, the Arena, a glorified boss rush against the very best the game has to offer. Phew! Oh man, it was crazy. Did you see that? I mean, I almost sort of missed him a few times. Is this your first time playing the Great Cave Offensive?
Okay, probably I pressed the wrong button last time, so let's go with this one.
Here's how you play the Great Cave Offensive.
Nope, that wasn't it either. Okay.
So yeah, theoretically, the game has a lot of variety going for it, but honestly, it all just sort of blends together. Aside from the games having a few unique boss fights, there really is just a total lack of cohesion. There are a few minor tweaks, like the Great Cave Offensive being one big map instead of going through different levels, and of all things to change, Milky Way Wishes has enemies that no longer give you copy abilities. Sounds crazy, I know, but instead you find them scattered around the different levels, and once you get them, you have them permanently. They do change things up enough, I guess, but honestly, it's not that much of a big deal. I just think this whole multiple game setup isn't worth being this game's selling point. But as it should, it comes down to the core gameplay, which actually in Superstar is quite different than what Kirby is used to in the past. Is this your first time playing the Gourmet Race?
No, it's not!
Here's how you do the Gourmet Race. So the way I see things, there are 3 big changes to the typical Kirby formula. First up is a new helper system. Gone is the power to poop out your abilities via a star, instead replaced by pooping out a helper buddy instead. Oh, the wonders of a new gaming generation. What's actually kinda cool is a friend can actually control these helpers in co-op, but in single player, it's honestly quite a pain. Because nothing's more reassuring in life than having a helper constantly not The abilities themselves, though, are totally fine. There's 19 in total, and the blend of old and new work out perfectly. You have the jet that's fun to use, the ninja is amazing just for the sole fact that you're a ninja, and I also really find myself enjoying the new yo-yo. The only one that's really a bit weird is copy. You scan an enemy, right? And then you take its ability. That's it. Couldn't you, do that already because you're Kirby and that's kind of like what Kirby does? Okay, fine, whatever, I'll take it. And then there's a new health system. Gone are the exact number of health bars for Kirby and bosses, as well as one-hit kills for enemies. Instead, it's replaced by a health meter for everything, including enemies, even though you can't even see it. And then, here's the best part. Whenever you have a helper with you and either of you get some health, you can then share it with them by going face to face. They just refuse to say that it's kissing, and I mean fine, but this makes even less sense. I don't even think Jim has a face.
Oh boy, it's gonna ask me if I played this before, hasn't it?
The last big change, and I kinda consider it to be the biggest, most of the abilities now have multiple moves instead of just one, and it depends on what you're doing when you press the attack button. Because of that, it actually kind of feels Super Smash Bros.-esque. The only one that continues to be as useless as always is the sleep one. It's fantastic. But what's kinda cool is you combine that with the new guard button, as well as the final boss of the Great Cave Offensive basically just being the master hand, and you have classic evidence of Masahiro Sakurai reusing elements in all of his games, even back 15 years ago, and none of us were the wiser. That clever bastard. But here's where I think the Superstar fans and I are gonna disagree. It really seems to me that every Kirby fan completely raves about this game from top to bottom and says it's easily the best game in the series. But man, I really just don't see it. The game is fun for sure, but there's just something about it that turns me off from that. I really just can't help but think that the game is solid at best, and that's mostly because in the second half of the game, I get so bombarded by random as hell hits, it is ridiculous and I get close to losing my mind. Sometimes I just find myself running into enemies like a schmo more times than normal, which, okay, fine, that could just be me being impatient, I'll take that. But sometimes you got bullshit like this. Like, look at this, I can't even make this stuff up, it's pure footage. It's stuff like this that makes me think a game should have been in development a little while longer to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. The best thing Superstar has going for it, in my opinion, are the boss fights. With this whole new ability system, these are some of the most fun boss fights in the series. Like, one of them is a goddamn turn-based RPG, and once you beat it, you get a bunch of stat increases that do absolutely nothing. Like, that's amazing! I will say though, the game does look really good. It's cool to see the bright and colorful, or sometimes dark and murky worlds of Kirby jump to 16-bit. But seriously now, more importantly, this is the first game in the series to introduce hats for every single ability, and that is amazing. And look here at the icon for the Wheelie Rider. Look at Kirby! He looks so badass, it's ridiculous. And then the music is quite different here too. Previous soundtracks were all happy and peppy for sure, but holy hell, someone really dialed up the hyper here. If it's not trying to be atmospheric for something like the Great Cave, it's some of the happiest music the Super Nintendo has to offer, and it's all great stuff. But I know I can't talk about Superstar without giving some major props to this game's true final boss, Marks. Not only is he just a weird-looking dude, but his theme song is amazing. This is easily one of the best soundtracks in the series, and you should seriously give a listen to, well, all of it, really, when you get the chance. Totally worth it.
Alright, I can already kinda sense some of you Kirby fans out there are astounded. How could a Kirby fanboy such as myself say anything negative about Kirby Superstar? That's the best game in the series! I don't know what to tell you guys, that's just how I feel about the whole thing. It's not one of my favorite games in the series. If anything, it's one of my least favorite. I know it sounds crazy, but the way I see things is that there is absolutely no reason at all to ever play that game ever again. That's because in 2008, Nintendo released for the DS Kirby Superstar Ultra, a full-on remake, and it fixed everything, I tell you. Everything!
First off, the game looks a million times better. All of the sprites have been redone with better colors, and thanks to the smaller screen, everything seems to pop a whole lot more. It also helps that you can actually see a whole hell of a lot more around you than you could in the original. That helps out so much, because I have to combine that with what I have to assume is just better programming on the enemies, because I seriously don't run into them anywhere near as much as I used to. They even fixed things that weren't even really problems in the original. Like in the Great Cave, you can now see when you've gotten all the treasures in an area, and in Milky Way Wishes, you now see how many abilities are hidden in each level. and you can even go back to pooping out your abilities via a star, which means you can play through the entire adventure without spawning a single helper. Thank the stars. There's even 4 brand new games. First up is the True Arena, a harder version of the regular arena with a brand new final boss, Mark's Soul.
Jesus.
Then there's Helper to Hero, where you go through the regular arena, except now you go through with any helper of your choice, which is pretty cool. And then there's 2 more substantial games. First off is the Revenge of the King. Spring Breeze was a remake of Dreamland. This is a remake of that game's extra mode, something that on paper, not really something I'm looking forward to revisiting. Oh man, they even brought back Kabula. Why? I mean, you could have done anything but bring back Kabula. Okay, I gotta say though, I do appreciate the new face, but come on, anything but that. Heh, nailed it. There's even a new final boss here, too, with Masked Dedede, and I mean, it's just a harder version of King Dedede. It's nothing really too special. Oh my god, this music! Alright, I take it back. That was amazing. Last up is Meta Nightmare Ultra. Oh yeah, the awesome mode from Nightmare in Dreamland is back with a vengeance. Here you go through all 5 of the main platforming games as Meta Knight, with some cool new touchscreen abilities that you can use too, and here as well, a new final boss. Upon reaching Nova, Meta Knight wishes to fight the strongest fighter in the galaxy, thus spawning the ancient warrior Galacta Knight. And first off, looks incredibly badass, just putting that out there, but secondly, holy hell, this music. Galacta Knight's theme has to be one of the most intense tracks to ever be featured in a Nintendo game. Keep in mind, this is Kirby! After an unfortunately underwhelming boss fight with incredible music, you beat him, completely ending Kirby Superstar Ultra. Man, what an awesome package this one turned out to be.
So really, when all is said and done, I do find myself in a bit of a weird situation. Kirby Superstar, one of the best games in the series, and I have just never seen that. Kirby Superstar Ultra, on the other hand, I can see that. It fixed everything, amazingly so. I know that for a Kirby fanboy, that's probably not something you expected to hear, but I don't know. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for Kirby Superstar. We're getting really close to the end of the marathon now. Only 1 more video to go, with 2 more games to go. Next time on the finale, I'll be taking a look at Kirby Dream Land 3 and Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards. I've been looking forward to this one for the entire marathon, so I'm pretty excited about this one. Hopefully you are too. Anyways guys, that's it. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'll catch you then. Alright, where was I left off now?
Is this your first time playing the Milky Way Wishes? No, wait, come back! Don't you want to know how to use copy?